Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Friendship Fridays, and I am your favorite bestie, Giovanni G. And I have a very special guest for my new series, which is The Faces of Caregiving. And it's going to be different testimonials, interviews to show a different perspective than my own perspective. And we're just going to get into it. We're going to learn from each other and we're going to grow this bestie community and just try to find out all that we can to prepare us for what may affect our family. But if it does, I want you to be fully ready. Make sure that you comment, chat, share, ask questions, and subscribe. It's all free. So I would appreciate if you do those things. Like I said, this will be a pre-recorded series, and I will be talking to different caregivers from all walks of life, and their knowledge will help someone, one of the viewers, maybe all, maybe none, but you should get bits and pieces from it. Tonight's episode, I will be remiss if I didn't have her as my very first guest in this series. On my soft lunch, this beautiful soul, she interviewed me. She encouraged me to start this channel in my LLC. She believed in me and pushed me when I was afraid to jump, right? And I just thank God that He used her to help me to know and assure me that I am supposed to be helping people with this ministry. Right? I'm supposed to be helping people. Because I was a little nervous. And I know that I'm supposed to be doing it in this capacity. And I owe her much gratitude and appreciation. So please welcome my angel in disguise, Miss Adrienne E. Bell, my bestie. And I thank you in advance for joining me tonight on this amazing interview. I know it's going to be good. And how are you?
I'm wonderful, and everybody can call me AB. So if you're gonna talk about me, just say AB in the chat, okay? You're gonna talk about me. Say it right.
Yes, if you're gonna talk about
If you're gonna talk,
it,
say
AB.
it right.
Okay, AB. So now I want you to please feel free to be as transparent as you would like, and however deep you would like to go. I'm willing to go there with you, but if you don't want to talk about those things, that's cool too. It's no such answer as too long, or no such thing as going off topic. We're just two friends having a conversation about this journey in the trenches called caregiving. So, we have 30 minutes or less to get into the nitty gritty of this thing of caregiving. So we're just gonna roll up our sleeves and get started. Now, granted, if it goes over, we can do it.
I'm down for the two part.
That's cool. Okay. So, how were you thrown into being a caregiver?
So I can't say honestly. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to come on your show. Shout out to all the faithful listeners, all the faithful subscribers. This has definitely been a labor of love. So I'm very, very proud of you for being consistent and for making this a way of escape for people who have no voice, or, actually becoming a bestie for people that are really struggling in this area. So kudos to you. Shout out to you. Y'all show her some love in the comments, in the chat, in the comments, and let her know that she's doing a great job. So I can't say that I was thrown into caregiving. And the reason why I don't use that term is because I am not, my father passed away in 2011. My mother passed away 5 days before Christmas in 2021. So I don't necessarily, I'm not caregiving now. But even prior to then, I was not the quote unquote caregiver. I was logistics. I was keeping my siblings from wrecking my mama's life. I was the one, coordinating certain things and things like that. And I say that when I say wrecking her life, I mean that in the most loving way, but I mean what I say. Okay. And so the caregiving goes far beyond physical, right? Caregiving also comes down to logistics, understanding, asking questions, talking to doctors, talking to the lawn people, right? And
Right.
so my father had a heart attack when I was about 17, and so he'd always had heart trouble pretty much my entire life, adult life. And then so my mom did a lot of caregiving with him. So I would help her. They were in Wisconsin. I eventually moved to Texas, and so I would fly back and forth to do whatever. Stay with mom when when he had to travel. Stay with her when he had to travel. So we try to do our best to not leave our parents. Well, I try not to leave our parents alone. And I'm saying that because if shout out to you, you're an only child, you show up for your mom, shout out to all of you who are only children, and even those of you who are not only children and you are doing the work as if you're an only child, shout out to you because caregiving goes far beyond the doctor's appointments and all of that. It's everything from what they eat. Even for I was sending groceries via DoorDash. Well, that back at those days it was called something else. But I could send food or order food or get someone to do it. So again, my caregiving was more logistical, right? And it was just as emotional. It was just as tough to watch your parents go from being thriving and driving and flying and all this stuff to a shell of a person, right? And so my caregiving, I've really been caregiving my whole life. Once my parents, I started washing dishes and ironing my daddy's shirts and all that kind of stuff, helping my mom.
That's caregiving.
It is caregiving, right? But it is different when you watch your parents decline. And so I wanted to be careful about being thrown into caregiving. It was kind of a gradual progression, and mine is just a little bit different. Still difficult, but different.
Okay. So, so since you said you've been caregiving a nice chunk of your life, how long were you basically in the season of supporting the caregiver? How long was that season for you?
So, like I said, my dad had his heart attack when I was 17. I'm 46. I know I look 24, but I'm 46. So, and so he passed in 2011. So, however many years that is,
Right.
helping mom, supporting her. I even had one of her goddaughter move in with her because, again, my siblings are out of the city as well. So, just handling all of those logistics, right?
Behind the
So
scenes, yeah.
it was probably between probably about 15 years.
Okay.
If I kind of put it all together from a sickness perspective, about
Right.
15 years.
Now, how did that, even though you was only a supportive role, how did it impact your family, your husband, your children? What was that impact like?
That's an excellent question. I'm really, really blessed to have a rock star for a husband. Shout out to Donald Bell we've been married it'll be 25 years in June. And
Okay.
so we set the standard even before we got married, how we were going to handle our parents, if they were going to move in with us, if they got sick. We had that conversation way before. Okay. He said his mama couldn't live with us. Okay. But he did welcome my mom living with us if something would happen. And we actually got the house that we're in now. We got it because of mom, right? And
Right.
so for her not being here now, it's kind of bittersweet. But he's been supportive of my children when I had to travel, go home, be with my parents for weeks on end, especially when the kids were small. My husband was absolutely amazing. My kids understood. Sometimes I would bring them home with me to help out. Different things. So yeah, I had a great support system.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
good. Now, what did you do? See, even though you were supportive, I'm sure you still needed mental breaks. So what is it that you used to do to kind of regroup, get a mental break, to step away? Because the mental toll of being a caregiver, whether it's primary or supportive role, it can be really heavy on you. So what did you do?
It's a lot. I thank God that now my parents are in heaven. And I always tell people, they'll say, "You miss your mom and daddy?" I'd be like, "This is gonna be harsh." I'd be like, "No, because my life would be different if they were here. And
Mm,
their life is better now. Because they would have to deal with, a lot of different things. But that was the hardest part because my parents were very, very active.
yeah,
So that is what had the biggest mental challenge for me is watching
mhm,
them not be who they were. And
right,
so my stepping away was my mom would say, "Baby, just go home. I'm good," or just do this, and I'm like, and I had to step away. When she said, "I got it," or "I'm okay," I actually listened. I didn't
right,
do the no, no, I'm gonna stay with you, and you're not gonna tell me what to do. When she said step away, I stepped away because she saw something I didn't see. And
Right.
we both couldn't be sick. We both couldn't be in the hospital. We both couldn't be stroked out, right? So I mean, it could be anything. Massages. I love to travel. You always get on me. I travel first class everywhere I go. I don't care if I pay $2
I'm
for
not
that
there
first
yet.
class
I'm
seat,
not there
honey.
yet.
That's where I indulge, right? And then really, I'm really good at, I had learned, mastered not waking up thinking about my parents and doing, like, I had to discipline my thoughts. And I realized I'm not God.
Right.
I support God in how those was his kids. But I almost came into a parental role with my parents. And God was like tapping me on the shoulder, like, excuse me, your job is to listen to me, not doing all this extra stuff. Because I was doing all this extra stuff and stressed out, and my siblings are looking at me like, "Girl, what's wrong with you?" Right? And I'm like, "You guys don't see," and I'm stressed out and whatever. And God was just like, "You got to take a step back because you more worried than the people you taking care of. Okay, they're not even thinking about what you're talking about, you know." And so I really had to. That was the biggest thing, is learning to step back and realize I am not God. And it is not, even though I was in a quote unquote caregiver role, I was not their provider. I was not even their caregiver. I could only go so far because they was grown, right?
Right.
So yeah, I just took a step back, and it sounds corny to say I had to put it in God's hands, but I really had no choice because I was at my wit's end. Like, I was on my way to jail. I wanted to put them in the jail. Okay. Like,
Yeah,
forget going
so
to the
that's
hospital.
where
Y'all going to
I am.
jail.
So you definitely gave me a word because that's where I am. I haven't gotten to the place to release because I am the primary, and no, I wasn't the only child, but I'm the only living child.
Yes.
So it all fell at my feet.
Sure.
And so, yeah, you definitely gave me a word on that because I have to figure out how to do the step away because I am the house of cards. If I
Yes.
fall, my kid and my mother, like, who's going to take care of them if I get sick or I'm stroke out or have a heart attack because I'm so stressed to the point
Absolutely.
of, so I have to figure that out. So you definitely helped me with that one because it's like I have to figure out the step away. Yeah, the
Yeah,
step away is
I
something
had
I
to put
have
it on my schedule. I had to put it on. I started observing the Sabbath because, again, remember, my parents were in a whole nother state.
yeah,
So I had to discipline my thoughts on a day-to-day, moment-by-moment basis. Oh, I got to think about this. I'll be thinking about stuff a year from now. My mom will be looking at me like, why are we even talking about that? Because I don't want to. And then I let my anxiety just get out of control and
yeah,
out of control and out of control. And everybody else is relaxed but me.
right.
And I had to cut it out. I stopped going out with my friends. I stopped hanging out with my friends because I was like, everything's about my mom. But then my mom would be on the phone with my friends, like, girl, I don't know what's wrong with her. What you mean, man? So don't
That
get me
part.
on my soapbox, okay?
Okay, so in your moment, and you finally stepped away, and you organized your thoughts and disciplined yourself. Did did you ever seek therapy? And if so, what made you know that you needed to get help?
So we do have a family therapist, and
Okay.
he's a Black male, wonderful Dr. Marcus. He's amazing here in Houston. And so what I realized, so yes, to answer your question, I did,
Mhm.
because then, life still went on. My kids still were growing. My husband and I still were trying to stay connected. And so, having to balance, even though he was always supportive, I didn't know how to balance it all. And so, like I said, I thought it was a mental thing, which it was. It was an anxiety thing, and I had to talk that stuff through. And it's like, well,
Right,
why do you have anxiety? Like, what's the worst that could happen? And
right,
they could die. Oh my God, that's the worst that could happen. Okay, that's really not the worst that they could happen. They could live and be miserable. They could live
right,
and be in pain. They could live. So I was like, oh. So yeah, I had to process that stuff because,
right.
and I processed it with my friends. I processed it with other people who've gone through it or currently living through it because I had to get therapy. And friends and people who were actually going through it. Yeah, I had to.
That's good. Okay, now with your parents passing away,
Mhm.
And I'm sure that you probably, I know just because knowing you personally, you had a probate process. Do you
Mhm.
want to tap into that to kind of prepare the people? Because I've talked about it in previous videos, but I don't really think people really know the beast of probate, like what that really looks like, how the government be playing in your face, and, and just that whole process, how drawn out it is. So if you could just touch on that and, we can peel back that layer, that would be, yeah, that'd be a great thing to just prepare people.
So remember when I was talking to you guys about being stressed?
Yeah.
So after mom, so prior to so remember my dad died in 2011. So my mom lived till 2021. All right. So here I am, misorganized, let's get it together. I'm like hounding my mom, like, we need to get this in order. We need to get this in order. If something happens to you, what's happening? What's going on with the property? What's going on with your vehicles? Like, what? Stay out of my business. Wait a minute, ma'am. Who? No, that is what stressed me out more. So, mom passed away, and somebody magically, deliciously thought that it's just the paperwork just automatically gets in your name. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
And the part that hurt me was that I talked about this when my father passed in 2011. So we
Right.
had 10
10
years
years.
to
10
fix it.
years. Yeah.
So I'm begging you, if you are, shout out to the caregivers, but if you the caregivers being cared for and you're listening to this, because you eavesdropping, please get your house in order, ma'am,
Yes.
sir.
Ooh.
Because just because you have a home, you have cars, you have all these things, your house is not in order if there is no paperwork that says this is what happens to my car, this is what happened to your wigs. Okay, this is what happens to the rings in your house. That's how much the government gets in your business. They want to
Yeah.
know everything that you have had and will have. Okay.
Yep.
So if you don't get that in order now, the people that you leave behind will have to deal with your mess. And that's
Yep.
not fair. And
It's
I
not.
had to really go to therapy about not being angry with my parents for not handling business.
And
Like,
that's where I'm at right now. So,
what? But then you tell me to stay out your business, but I'm left with it. Okay,
yeah.
I'm left with your business. So again, that's something I had to give to God because I refused to live my life in torment. Even when they were here, I refused to be tormented, even though they made me feel, well, not they, my mom would make me feel bad for asking questions. But now there are no answers. So now we have to what? Go to court, right?
Yeah.
I have a sibling that's like, I don't want nothing to do with that. That ain't got nothing to do with me. It kind of does. And then what happens, depending on the state that you're in, that if you pass away, God forbid I pass away, my kids have to deal with my parents' probate issues. People don't understand it don't die with me. It's gonna
Oh,
keep going
wow.
on. Because remember, I'm a
Wow.
real
I
estate
didn't know
agent.
that.
I'm a real estate agent as well. So it goes back to what they call the sovereignty of the soil. So what that means is if they're trying to figure out whose property this belongs to, or maybe you didn't pay your taxes or whatever the case would be on your property, right? Just because your
Right.
house is paid off does not mean your house still does not have to pay bills for the house, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
the government can put, if you have debt, they will give that debt to your children.
Oh, I
So,
didn't know that.
oh, no, it don't go away. It doesn't.
Oh, wow.
So depending on how you have your business, your stuff set up, it doesn't go away.
Oh,
And
wow.
when it passes down, right? So
Wow.
my angst with my mother was like, I don't want, well, going through the probate process because she was gone by now. Going through the probate process, I was more concerned about my children. That if
Right.
something happened to me, and then we still dealing with what's going on with William and
With
Cora.
your
Those are
mom.
my parents. Okay.
Yeah.
So because in Wisconsin, you automatically pass the heir, the everything passes automatically to the next heir in line, right? So, but you
Wow.
still have to go through probate court to get everything in your name if it's not in your name, right?
Wow.
So it doesn't
Yeah.
stop. It
Yeah, I
doesn't.
thought
It's
it
not,
didn't.
people say if you don't talk about it, it don't go. It's gonna go away. It doesn't go away.
Hmm.
So you wanted me to dig
So,
into it. That's what you.
oh, we didn't dug into it. I didn't learn something. I thought it would die, like the probate process. Yes, I knew about that, but I didn't know it could get passed on to my kid. I had no idea that she would possibly be dealing with something from her grandmother not setting something up. That is mind blowing to me because this is like, so is
Depending
this
on
going to
what
go
state
back a
you're in,
generation?
depending
Uh-huh.
on what state you're in, check your
Yeah,
state.
that's
Check your
that's
state.
crazy. So that's gonna make me definitely research Georgia to find out.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, her affairs was in Pennsylvania, so then that's still tricky. It's just a matter of thank you because I did not know this could actually get passed to my kid. Like
Absolutely.
that's scary. That makes
It
it
is
even
scary.
it makes it because then it's the whole sins of my father type of thing. Like
Absolutely.
it is just like wow, like oh wow, I did not know that.
Yep.
So whew. So are you still in the probate process now, or is it finally resolved? Like, what does that look like?
Can we cuss on here or no?
No, we can't.
Okay. So
We
um
can't cuss on
we
it.
we are still in the process because again, I have an uncooperative sibling that refuses to give us the paperwork, their paperwork. I have everybody else's paperwork. I don't have their paperwork because they want nothing to do with it. But because she's also an heir, the judge is like, I don't know what y'all want me to do. So the only way we can move forward, she gotta die. And then we did. I'm just telling you. And so we either got to wait for her to die, or she wakes up and says, "I want to participate." And then if it doesn't, then it passes on to her kids, and then I got to deal with one of the kids. You see what I'm saying? So we're still in the process of this tug of war with between the
And of
siblings.
course, you're paying for lawyers, you're paying
Now,
court fees, all of that is accruing.
I mean, well, thankfully, I didn't have to pay any lawyer fees because I know the process, right?
Okay.
But I can pay lawyer fees and have her subpoenaed, and
Right.
that's when it starts getting expensive,
Okay.
right? Now I ain't trying. Look, I'm trying to have a nice Thanksgiving dinner. I don't want no problem. So you told the line, and that's the thing. You kind of when you're dealing with caregiving, you told the line. I don't know if y'all have talked about this, but you told the line with having relationships with other family members. This caregiving thing is deep and wide, and it's a lot. And it's a lot of layers to it. And don't let anybody tell you any different. Don't let anybody tell you that caregiving is just about wiping boo boo and pee up. It's so much deeper than that. You wake
That's
up
so
in the morning, you don't know what kind of mood the person you're caring for is going to be in. You don't know if they're going to punch you in the face. You don't know. You don't know.
yeah.
And so you got to fortify yourself to be like, okay, what kind of letter you going to get in the mail with their name on it? It's a lot.
I just got one of those on Monday. I was like,
So
what? A nice little IRS letter. So I listen. This
listen,
ain't for the weak.
and imagine me getting letters with my parents' name. They dead. What I'm gonna be like?
Yeah.
Hey, mama, hold on one second. Hold on, mama. I got a letter from the IRS. It has said that you might have a
Oh, a
check.
little porn.
Like
You
who
got
I'm
all
so that, you know what I mean? And that's why people have attorneys to deal with that kind of stuff
yeah.
because it's so much. It's a lot.
Yes. It's so much. It's so many layers. It's so much, so many nuances. And every day it's another baptism by fire, at least for me. Because I discover something every day. Every other day is something new. Something came in the mail, somebody called. So I'm like, listen, I need to be under a rock or two. So yes. Okay, so since hindsight is 2020, what do you wish you would have done prior to your parents' health crises or whatever to prepare you for the supportive role as a caregiver that you had to do? Like, is there anything you could have did to prep? And this is just for the viewers to know about prepping, like, because that's what this channel is about, just preparing and for when it goes left.
To be honest with you, I
Hmm.
really don't know how much more I could have done because
Hmm.
I tried, you
Right.
know. I think what I would have done is taken better care of myself. I would have
Hmm.
made me a priority and not make them almost a god in my life, an idol in my life. I made almost caregiving an idol, like a badge of honor, like, you know, and that's not what I'm supposed to do. Like, or I'd be like, well, you didn't do this for mama, and you didn't do this. I wish I wouldn't have done that stuff, because at the end of the day, when I got through with all of that, I still didn't get what I wanted,
Right.
which was order, which was proper paperwork. Even when my mama threw me under the bus on like family calls and stuff like that, Adrienne ain't running nothing. What the minute? But then call me and be like, can you? You, I'm sorry, you just told me I wasn't running nothing, right? So but I wish I would have taken better care of myself. And being a caregiver, if y'all don't hear nothing else I'm saying, you gotta put you first, not the person you're caring for. That is not the will of God. It's just not.
Mhm.
You have to put yourself first. If that meal gotta wait 30 minutes, then it's gotta wait 30 minutes, right? They didn't take their medicine, nothing you could do. You can't stick it down their throat. If they hide it under their tongue, what you gonna do? Crush it up and put it in their bloodstream? I mean, there's nothing you can do. I wish I would have taken care of myself first and then my parents, because I didn't do that well at all. And I had a chip on my shoulder. I was envious of my siblings because they was like, I don't want to tell you, they put themselves first. They was like,
Yeah.
what they gonna do with me? I'll fill it in when I can. And I wish
Yeah.
I would have taken on that role, but I'm just not wired that way. I'm just not wired that way. But I had to learn eventually at some point. But yeah, that's what I wish I would have done differently.
Now, so since you went through this process and you've learned a lot and you've grown, what are you doing to prepare for if your children had to be a caregiver for you, whether it's either primary or supportive? What are some of the things you're putting in place for your children?
Baby, Adriana and Donald Bell the third, honey, they got it laid out. Okay. If I go to the hospital, I want my pillow, my silk pillow. I want my robe. I want my this. Like, I have a DNR in place. Don't if I die, leave me alone. Okay.
Right.
I don't want no funeral. Me and my husband don't. You spend your insurance money. Y'all go to Disney World. Do whatever you're gonna do. I'm not putting my kids through that trauma of
Yeah.
having to call people, tell people I'm dead or my husband. I'm not doing it. So my kids are very well prepared they
Okay.
have nothing to worry about, which is why I'm trying to hurry up and get this stuff fixed with my mama and daddy stuff. So that don't be their stuff, right?
Right.
My kids are very well informed. They know where everything is. They
So
know
they know where
all
the paperwork is. They know what the
paperwork,
paperwork is. Okay.
passwords, social security cards. We have everything in one place so
Okay.
that they're not like, well, mommy, I don't. We got everything in a Google Drive. They know everything.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So they know about your banking. They know about your insurance, everything.
Everything, because
That's good.
I refuse to put my babies through what my parents didn't do it on purpose. They
Right.
just didn't know. They just
Yeah.
didn't realize the seriousness of it, right?
Hmm.
So, and because when my father's parents died, he had left home. He didn't even go to his mom's funeral. He didn't know she died.
Right.
So, and my grandmother's affairs were in order. So there
They
was
just didn't
nothing to
know.
figure out, right?
There was no map.
So for them, they're like, "Oh, y'all will figure it out." No, ma'am. No, but my kids are straight. I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
that's
not putting.
something that I am actively working on to make sure my kid don't have to do this. Like this is a beast that I do not want her to carry. This is nothing. This is a load that I don't want at her feet. So I'm actively making sure that I have everything in order for her because this
Good.
is this is not for the weak at all. I just want to thank you so much for this amazing interview. I appreciate you being candid and transparent. Let us know. Listen, sometimes I feel a little blessed because even though my it's all on my feet, I'm not fighting with those siblings because that would have been a whole nother level of stress. And I'm the oldest, so that wouldn't have worked out for me at all. Like I'm not about to fight you over this lady. Here you go, let me pack a bag. Here you go. I'm not gonna do that.
Part
So
two. Part two. Part two.
that is the part two within itself. We might have to tap back into that because that sibling thing is no joke. And So I want to thank you for tonight. I appreciate you being here, your willingness to tap into your emotional place of being a supportive role as a caregiver. And I hope that everyone watching, you got something away from this. I definitely did. I had no idea that the debt could pass down to the grandkids. That is crazy, depending on what state you're in. That is just like, wait, what? No, the debt's supposed to die with the person, or at least the heirs, the first heirs, not the heirs' heirs. That's a lot. So I hope you tune in next week for another story. That it will be on Fridays, of course, at 9 p.m. Like I said, these are pre-recorded. It's different stories, different testimonies to help you learn and prepare for what may come, what may not come, but you'll be ready either way. So your favorite bestie is signing off. I thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next week. Any last remarks, AB, that you got? Besides
Listen,
telling the people to get their paperwork in order, do you have
I
anything?
want absolutely. I just want to encourage all the caregivers, all of those in the supporting roles, your spouses, your kids that help with carrying the load. Be encouraged, but remember, put yourself first, and everything else will fall into place.
Oh, look, she done been dropping all these gems tonight. These good gems. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next week. Thank you, AB. I greatly appreciate you. Ah, yes, wait till next week. Another story is going to come. Bye, guys.
Bye.